Hi, I'm going to start by reading the passage for today, which is from Mark chapter 1, verses 40 to 45. A man with leprosy came to Jesus and begged him on his knees, "If you are willing, you can make me clean." Filled with compassion, Jesus reached out his hand and touched the man. "I am willing," he said. "Be clean." Immediately the leprosy left him and he was cured. Jesus sent him away at once with a strong warning. "See that you don't tell this to anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest, and offer the sacrifices that Moses commanded for your cleansing as a testimony to them." Instead, he went out and began to talk freely, spreading the news. As a result, Jesus could no longer enter a town openly, but stayed outside in lonely places. Yet the people still came to him from everywhere. The leper came to Jesus asking for healing. It's a real picture of faith. He believed that Jesus could heal him. And he said, "If you are willing, you can make me clean." But it's interesting, isn't it, that the leper's actual question wasn't whether or not Jesus could heal him, but whether he was willing to. It seems like he was asking himself, will Jesus want to heal me? So it's as though he was actually in his mind begging and imploring Jesus to heal him. So why would he think like that? But I think that we can all think like that sometimes, especially if there's something we've been praying about for quite some time, or we haven't had the answer to a prayer that we've been hoping for. We can begin to think, God's a bit heartless. He doesn't actually maybe care about us. I know at certain points I've started to feel like, what's the point of continuing to pray about this? God really doesn't seem to care. Or we can think, God doesn't love me because of who I am. Maybe I'm not worthy of his love, or I don't deserve to have this problem sorted out, or this issue resolved, or whatever it is that we're praying about. But both those ways of thinking are completely wrong. The leper was right that Jesus could heal him, but he was wrong to think that maybe Jesus wouldn't want to. And of course, Jesus did answer the man's question. He showed his love for him and he healed him and he sent him away, asking him not to tell anybody, which the man completely failed to do. He told everybody and caused problems for Jesus. But if we put ourselves again in the leper's shoes for a few minutes, we must remember that God does care. He always loves us and he wants the best for us. And also, secondly, we must remember that it's never the case that God doesn't think that we are worthy of his love. He knows each one of us. Each one of us is made in his image and is special to him and loved by him. Trouble is, it seems like God doesn't always heal us or answer our prayers in the way that we want him to. So what are we supposed to do with that? It is, of course, the age-old question. But what I believe that God wants us to understand today from the story of the leper coming with his question and his request to Jesus is this: that his ways are not our ways. We only see partially, but God sees the whole picture. And ultimately, what he has in store for us and for the world is complete reconciliation, restoration, and healing. We must remember that truth that Julian of Norwich said, "All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well." So when we don't see answers to prayers, we must remember that it's not because God doesn't care, that he's remote, and it's not that he doesn't want the best for us. We must hold on to that truth that God is willing. His plan is at work, and that ultimately he is bringing about his good purposes for us and the world, even if we can't understand it and what's happening to us at the moment. I want to share a testimony of how this was really brought home to me recently, not so much to do with a personal issue, but to do with everything that's going on in the world at the moment. We went on a beautiful walk over at the beginning of Offers Dyke near Chepstow. And even amidst those glorious surroundings, I was just preoccupied with things going on in the world at the moment. to do with the pandemic, with countries struggling under lockdown, with people I know and people I don't know getting ill, and with all the stuff about the race relations at the moment and the killing of George Floyd and all those awful things. And I was thinking, God must have just maybe given up on us at the moment. Maybe we've all just gone beyond the pale. And I was also thinking, what can I do as a Christian to make a difference in any of this? To be honest, it all felt a bit hopeless. But then at the end of our walk, we found ourselves in this little village called Brockwere, which some of you might know. It's a lovely little village right on the River Wye, with a bridge over the river, and right near the bridge is a little Moravian church. I've always loved the Moravians, so I really wanted to go in and see the church, and so we did. And in there I saw two things that really spoke to me right into that situation that I'd been thinking about. One was the way that that church had come into being. Apparently, right back in the 1880s, a local man was very worried for the spiritual state of Brockwere. So it had a wharf and was a way station, and so it was a place where lots of workmen gathered and travellers and all sorts of people. And apparently there were 7 pubs in that little town and no church. So this man invited some Moravians to come from Bristol, where there was a Moravian community, to come as missionaries. And so they came back in about 1886 or something and founded the church, and it is still there, alive and well to this day. So I found that so encouraging, given what I had been thinking about. But then also I saw up on the wall the Moravian emblem, which I've got a photo of. I'm going to try to show you now. So it's the picture of Jesus as the Lamb, and it says, "Our Lamb has conquered. Let us follow him." And that I just felt like Jesus was speaking to me right out of that image in that moment, saying all these things going on in the world that I'd been fretting about, I just needed to remember Jesus has already overcome. He's won the victory. All I need to do is follow him. So I left that church feeling just so encouraged and refreshed and at peace that day. So to come back to the story of Mark 1, of the leper coming to Jesus with his request for healing. Let us keep coming to Jesus with our needs, coming in the faith and knowledge that he loves us and that he does want the very best for us, and that ultimately he has overcome it all. Even if we don't understand what's going on around us at the moment, we just need to keep trusting him, and one day we will understand. So let us trust him, the Lamb who has overcome.